snap. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Good evening. We are here to talk about the last two episodes, but mainly we're going to talk about the finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian. I'm very excited to talk about this. And joining me for this lovely conversation about this amazing show are the Jedi Master, Thomas. Thomas, how you doing, bud?
Doing great. Mouth Maui, it's good to see you.
Yes, thank you. And we have, well, I don't know what character that's from, but we have Gavin. Gavin, how are you, my love?
I'm actually the jeans guy who was in the background of that one episode. So just a regular schmo. Don't worry about it.
Just a regular schmo.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love how this guy gets caught in blue jeans. That's great. We have one more person, I believe, coming to talk about this. Hopefully he will be here soon. My usual co-host Ray hopefully will be here soon. Anyway, okay. We'll circle back to last week's episode in a second, but we got to just hop right in. Everybody, just so you know, this is a spoiler review. This is a spoiler review. So if you have not watched today's Mandalorian, please do not watch this because it is too much. It is too much. There he is.
Literally the last shot. Welcome. Your face is still the spoiler warning.
Okay, so we're just about to hop into all the things. Hey, what's up, Ian? Thank you.
Let's go.
Indeed. Okay, so we're gonna do this a little bit differently because I just need to go straight to the thing. I've said it 100 times now. Spoiler warnings, everybody. Luke Skywalker, Luke effing Skywalker, and not just a cameo. Not like I posited that we would see perhaps a gloved hand, and we're supposed to know that was Luke. This is full on Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. Oh my gosh!
Right, it is job.
Right, it is Luke Skywalker in his prime. Prime.
OP Skywalker.
Skywalker.
Oh, so good.
One of my early formative Star Wars memories is I was homesick from school and my mom rolled out, the clunky ass TV thingy, big old box, put it on my dresser and popped in Return of the Jedi. And sick as I was, I rewound the scene where Luke goes, "No, I am a Jedi like my father before me," time and time again. Because that was, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, my goddamn favorite thing in the world. One of my favorite pieces of Star Wars.
Ian says, "Dark troopers, smart troopers." Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Like butter.
Slice Luke. That was when I rewound it just this episode when he sliced the guy directly in half and he fell like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it just goes to show us that in Star Wars, because everything has been so Jedi centered, we forget how powerful they are.
Mm-hmm.
And since now we've been watching, Mando and handling stormtroopers, but it's been people to people fight, and then they get these droids that they cannot handle. One guy took everything he had, and then Luke just cuts through them like butter.
Yeah, it's an interesting position to show, right? Because you see, Mando nearly kills him.
Right.
Right.
You wonder how the Clone Wars were even a war if the Jedi were fighting robots the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much. So okay, let's rewind to the beginning of it all. So this is episode, chapter 16, The Rescue. So right off the bat, I have screenshots for this. I took a bunch of screenshots so we can kind of go through. So right off the bat, this is a ship that I believe you see in the Clone Wars right here.
Clone Wars and Rebels, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Got a Mandalorian ship on the left.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is, but you've seen that a few times.
It's Bo-Katan's ship.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but Bo-Katan's ship, and I love that scene. We get a little bit of Mando Bros here, which I love. Mando Bros.
Two Mandalorians walk into a bar.
Yeah, right. I love that sequence because when once again they're like, you're not even a Mandalorian, right? And Bo-Katan, who the last time we see her is talking about like, Din, you got to expand your definitions of Mandalorians, and we see that she's still doing that very same thing, right? We're starting to see those old like, oh, you're not a Mandalorian, I'm a Mandalorian. That whole thing rearing its ugly head again, which is why we've had so many civil wars on Mandalore.
It's an interesting prejudice to have when she fought alongside clones for so long. You would think that they would earn some level of respect from her. But no, I think it seems to deepen that divide.
Yeah, she pulled off that, like, don't you mean donor when he said father? That was...
I loved that, and I love what she said. I've heard your voice 1,000 times. Like, that was...
Well, I wonder if that has something to do with how, like... So, like, the beginning of the Empire, like, all of the troopers were still clones.
That's true.
So if the Mandalorian, like, decimation happened towards the beginning of the Empire, like, it would have been clones.
And I wonder if we'll see Bo-Katan interact with these early clone stormtroopers in Bad Batch, even.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for Bad Batch.
But there's history, clearly. Bo-Katan seems to carry a lot of history in this episode, which I think we're going to talk about.
Doesn't let anything go.
All over her face. Look at it.
Right. It really is.
Let's see what we got next. So they get onto the ship. And that's when we see Mando fight that Dark Trooper. Dark Troopers are super punchy, y'all.
It's Terminator. It's Terminator meets Star Wars.
I had no idea how to, like, I know during the High Republic everything was so super fancy and super fast. In the prequels everything was a Macintosh. And then we're back to the original trilogy where things are still running on Windows XP and the Dark Troopers take fucking 10 minutes to boot up. We're back to analog, truly.
It took them a really long time to boot up.
But they also got we got dubstep in Star Wars.
We did.
We got dubstep music.
That music was a fucking banger. Holy shit!
Because just wait for Christmas when the documentary comes out. We're gonna get that special of the composer who's just in his little music room, and he's like, "Well, I thought we could maybe have dubstep in with the robots. I thought they are machines."
I loved it. I thought it was perfect.
I was great. I was like, "What? Yes!"
That's the thing about Ludwig. I will never know how his mind works, but his decisions are A+.
Oh yeah,
he can't even explain them himself, but they're still
no, not at all. But I love it.
So Ian just said they should have had a jackhammer-like punch. I agree. The punching was too slow. Like, I wanted to be like, it should have been like faster and furious.
I wonder if that's like I wonder if because Dr. Pershing definitely says like the humans were the last element. So they're like, okay, well we took the Dark Troopers as far as we could go with them with people inside, and then we just took the people out and made a robot inside. But we didn't change like what the suit could do. We just made it a robot. So then, like, if there was another iteration of Dark Trooper, they'd be like, hey, they should probably like punch faster.
Right. IG's movement was way faster than the Dark Troopers' movement.
Yeah, but IG's movement wasn't based on, he was humanoid looking, but he was based on like a rotating system. Whereas these guys are based on like a skeleton.
Right.
Yeah. They had their arm moved like a arm moves, not like a piston or anything else. Yeah.
And piston is actually piston I think is a really good comparison for IG-88.
It was interesting. Though I think ultimately what we find out, I think, is the purpose that the Dark Troopers serve is so that Luke can lay waste to a ton of opponents and not kind of go against who he is at the end of Jedi.
Because he has not killed anyone.
He's not killing
a bunch of stormtroopers. It would have been like, whoa, dude, I thought you were past that, So I think
it would have been entirely a Rogue One callback, which is like this was a mirror
to
that Vader sequence.
Absolutely.
I had that same thought. Yeah. In that because it was in that confined space.
Yeah. They absolutely wanted you to. Like the visual language was so the same.
Yeah. Then we had this, like, I love this kill shot here. Like the way he takes down that Dark Trooper was wonderful. Wonderful.
Dude, when the thing was punching his head into the wall and the wall just like bent,
Oh
like,
my gosh.
the shape around his head, that was also kind of magnificent.
Oh, it was peak. It was peak.
Good for the best car.
Also,
Good for the best guy.
poor little Grogu with his little handcuffs.
Little 3D printed handcuffs. I love those.
He's just sitting there like, "Hi, Dad. This is my friend."
Yeah.
Also, how evil is the Empire that they have handcuffs in all sizes for all sorts of life forms?
Right. Yeah.
Well, you gotta
Someone
think those are
made
maybe like
baby handcuffs.
Chadrafan, you know,
Right.
like Chadrafan handcuffs or
Mm-hmm.
Ewok handcuffs. Who knows?
Ewok handcuffs doesn't make it any less evil, though.
So awful.
And this was like mad props. Giancarlo Esposito is plays such a good villain.
I think he's just the best actor on the show. I think he's the best actor on the show.
The way
Absolutely.
he practically used that blade to caress. There was a weird movement he was doing. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Right in this moment, he looked like he would wanted to caress Grogu with it, and it was so creepy and
so unsettling.
I thought it was sort of an inspired move. He was like, "I'm just going to show you how in control I am
Yeah.
Mhm.
of everything that you've got."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in this whole sequence, right? So we get to the fight. I was amazed at how fast Gideon was.
Mm.
Like he moved with such speed and power. I was like, "Oh, okay, Gideon, okay."
Yeah, he's no chump.
And the detail too of it, like the like the way the Beskar heats up and turns red is just beautiful. Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah, that was a great fight scene.
It was a great fight scene, but the implications of that fight scene, with Mando disarming him, it seems that they use like wizard duel rules from Harry Potter, right? So like now the Darksaber is his, and
I mean that's just like the cultural heritage of the planet of Mandalore, which I need to like rewatch Clone Wars and Rebels to remember what all of that is. And it's just like I think it's just a way to sort of other the Mandalorian culture, like just that they stick to all these high traditions and stuff like that.
Well, it's a little different though from its previous appearance, because when last we see the Darksaber, Sabine gives it to Bo-Katan. There was no fight.
That's true.
Just give it.
Yeah.
Sure. How did Sabine get it?
She won it in battle.
Okay.
But then she's like, I don't want to rule here, Bo-Katan. It's yours.
Then that's weird that we had that exact same scene and she didn't take it.
And she doesn't take it. So I'm wondering if the Mandalorian didn't respect her rule.
Maybe.
I mean, things clearly went wrong for her during her first tenure as ruler.
That's
of Mandalore.
That's what I'm wondering is how did she where in the like fall of Mandalore does she lose it?
Right.
And is that why she has to reclaim it, not necessarily like just get it, just find it again. Like it has to be.
I see.
Yeah.
He said the Elder Saber.
Exactly.
Dinger's just gonna snap it in half and throw it out in airlock.
So, but what's interesting though, right? Because I think that this now sets up perhaps a potential antagonist position for Bo-Katan in the next season.
Maybe
is her lust for power, right? Is she going to put her, her skills and resources into helping Mando, or is it less that she wants Mandalore to be liberated and more that she wants to do the liberating?
Right.
I don't know. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see going into next season, because you could see kind of the look of anger in her face when she's like, "You have my freaking Darksaber. Are you serious right now?"
Well, it is an interesting. Yeah, it can be an
there it is.
Oh yeah.
Like, look at that. Like she's not having it.
The actress really chewed the scenery, so shout out to her, definitely.
That's Katie Sackhoff. Katie Sackhoff, who was Starbuck on the Battlestar Galactica reboot from a few years back. Fantastic.
well, in the original.
I tried to start Battlestar Galactica a few times, but now that Katie Sackhoff has made it into a universe that I was already a fan of, anytime someone says like, "Oh, her name, she was Starbuck," I feel like they're making fun of her because it's like Starbucks, and I'm like, no, like they call the character Starbuck. That sounds like a Spaceballs 2 joke. Like that sounds like a joke Mel Brooks would make in Spaceballs 2.
Sadly, it's Moby Dick. and it tells you that she's the second in command. Is she? Is Starbuck second in command on that show?
She's pretty high up. She's like the ace fighter pilot.
Okay.
On the show. So they take down Gideon, but apparently, the Dark Troopers, they have jetpacks.
Right, and we knew this. Like we saw them fly to capture Grogu. Right. So when they went out the airlock, I was just like, it's gonna be a literal like Deus Ex Machina, like a literal, like Chekhov's gun, except it's a trooper. Like they're not gone, they're just disoriented.
Right, and sure enough, the entire platoon comes flying back, and we saw that Mando could barely handle one. They're all screwed. They start punching the door because they love to punch, and then we see this. The lone X-wing. They're like, "Hey, who is that? Who are you?" No answer.
Do you know what my first thought was? This moment, in that moment, you're looking at the screen. There's an X-wing, and I went, R2D2.
Dave Filoni
did, and then when he showed up, at the end, I was like, "Fuck you!"
So what?
Got to be there too.
Okay, so when you saw a lone X-wing, so your thought was R2D2. Thomas, Gavin, what were your thoughts when you first saw the X-wing?
Thomas, would you like to go first?
Sure. I was a little disappointed. Sitting doing my job all day, I had done a little scrolling and I did my best to avoid things, but I had that screenshot spoiled, and I sort of put 2 and 2 together and figured it out by that point. But I did thoroughly enjoy the whole sequence that came after it and everything. So I was like, yes, I'm so good with this Jedi. I'm so good with this Jedi. The joke answer is, it's Dave Filoni. It's going to be that Rebel pilot. It's Dave Filoni, and he's going to come in and be like, "I'm here to save Baby Grogu."
And that was actually when there's the shot of it like flying past the window, I was like, "Uh-oh, space cops."
Yeah, space cops.
Right. For some reason, when it landed in the hangar, I just went, R2D2, please, R2D2.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Isn't that great though? That we got a hero who can do it all. He's a pilot. He's a Jedi Master. He's a friend. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, my first thought immediately, somehow Porkins has returned.
Porkins is back from the dead.
No, I think it played out for me exactly how I didn't get spoiled, thankfully. This is like the first time I haven't had something Star Wars related spoiled for me, which is great. But I think it played out exactly how the writers and directors intended. Like X-Wing, I got the raised eyebrow, and then you see the hooded figure go through, and then I'm just like and then they showed the gloved hand and the green lights. And, it came together very organically.
I said there are 3 like canonical green lightsabers, and 2 of them are dead.
Yeah.
There can only be one guy.
So it's Yoda and who's
Qui-Gon.
the third? Qui-Gon.
It's Yoda and Qui-Gon. At least like movie canon. I don't know all the. I read some article that was about all the different Jedi that it could be. So it could have been Luke.
I'm not gonna accept my Kit Fisto erasure here. I'm so sorry, but you
Kit Fisto was stabbed in the gut. He was gutted.
So I watched this first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. I went out for 5K at like 6 in the morning. I got back around 7. And no big deal. And I made myself some cereal with almond milk, or no, oat milk. No. And I'm watching, I'm eating my cereal. I'm like, this is good. I feel like a little kid. I feel like I'm watching Saturday morning cartoons. Right?
The best.
And then when they're like, it's an X-wing, and they show the X-wing, I stood up and I did not sit down for the rest of the episode. I was just pacing back and forth. I'm like, is this happening? Is this happening? I started literally I started crying and I'm laughing at the same time. I lost my shit. So Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Really?
Really. And it's like in Luke's characterization in Return of the Jedi is like one of my favorite things in any fandom. Like my favorite part about it, it's not even the fighting. It's the weird like fighting for Vader's soul between Luke and the Emperor, like this weird like these philosophical conversations that are happening. That's like my favorite thing. So to see like that Luke show up, right? My just fresh out of Jedi Luke show up like was everything for me. It was like a really special moment for me. I have a screenshot here. This was like
that was like I wanted to pause it like while we were watching it and like scrutinize that lightsaber hilt and be like, is it? Is it? Is it?
You get a nice clear shot of it when he on the reveal. I also love after he takes them all down and then opens the doors. This shot is awesome.
And then he turns it off and like puts it on his hilt, his belt, and you see the black glove, and you're like,
because Din goes, "Oh, open the doors," and they're like, "Are you crazy?" And I was like, "Yeah, the mech troopers like busted the door. We can't open them."
That's what I thought they were saying.
Did you not see them punching them?
Because as warped as those doors were, I don't understand how they were still able to open.
Because I think it's the way the doors are built. If you put the screenshot back on, because they like stop, like the bulge is right in the center because they were punching on either side of the gap, and so that's why they only opened like a third of the way, as opposed to like fully collapsing on themselves and going all the way into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what it would have been better? If he did some Phantom Menace, just
just melt the door. Force push the doors open.
Yeah.
He's freaking patient. He left his lightsaber on and everything, and he was just standing outside of the door waiting for them to like let him in.
Yeah, he's like,
I kind of adore that. Some Chicago lore. In our arts building, the Logan Center, they got the wrong shape door for the freaking elevator, so every time they would open, they would scrape. So it's possible. I guess a dented door can open.
That sounds like a proverb.
That is where my intuition went.
So there he is. The
God.
CG, not the best. Not the best CG.
I think we're bounds from Rogue One.
I agree.
I mean, it's not as bad as Tarkin. I thought it actually looked better than Leia. Too, and Skywalker.
I think it's just. I think the technology's just improved.
I think there were some shots where it was excellent and some where it wasn't, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast here.
It still gets Uncanny Valley a little bit for sure, but
But if this is a thing like we're gonna keep doing,
I agree with that, Ian. As soon as he started speaking, it's like, ugh. That's
weird. I just loved it because it was actually, it was Mark Hamill's voice. Like it was just sort of so comforting. But if this is a thing we're gonna keep doing, like I'm not mad about it. If we're gonna have these like cameo style things from actors, but I think like the Luke is the way to do it because like Tarkin was like dead, and they had to use another actor, redo his facials, and do an impressionist. And with Leia in Rogue One, it was an actress, like another actress, doing the facial stuff and an impressionist. Yes. So like that's like not my favorite, but the fact that Mark Hamill is here and we can, essentially like de-age him, like Tony Stark in Civil War, that I'm more about. If the actor's dead, then like we got to figure out something else. I don't really think we should be using that sort of stuff.
See, I'm okay with the recast. Like I honestly like seeing the photoshops of Sebastian Stan as Luke. It's pretty spot on.
What?
How have you not seen these?
Oh, he
No!
looks just
Oh, yeah.
like a young
I know
Mark
they
Hamill,
had
and
an
it's so
entire
creepy.
Twitter exchange about the fact that like that Mark Hamill is his father, but I had
Yeah, that's where it all came from.
Yeah.
I really think it all started circulating actually around either around Civil War or
Mm.
Infinity War. People were like,
Mhm.
if you put a Luke or a Mark Hamill wig on Sebastian Stan, he looks like Mark Hamill from 1983. Like,
And so I think that would have been pretty cool if, you know, like have Sebastian Stan there, but then have Mark Hamill like do the voice,
yeah,
or like combine their voices to kind of, you know.
I mean, if you were going to try to do it like this is an episode that Luke is in the entire episode, that would be the way to do it.
Definitely.
Like
Right.
this little, like you said, like a little cameo with CGI works.
yeah, I definitely. I'm good with what we got. Really.
What I'll say is that, you know, I think we can think of a few different ways that they could have done this differently, but how they didn't bother me,
Mhm.
which is, I think that's worth something.
It didn't take me out of it like enough to be an issue.
Mhm.
And also, even though it was so cool to see Luke show up, that still was not like the heart of the episode for me. The heart of the episode for me is this moment and this moment.
It was so good.
Then I just started like just crying uncontrollably at that moment. You know, because he's only taken off his helmet a few times. I almost wish he hadn't taken his helmet off in the episode before.
Oh, sure.
You know, like I almost wish that they didn't do that, just because it was such a special moment when he took his helmet off. That happening in the episode right before just cheapened it just a little bit for me. But it's this culmination of his evolution as a character. You know, he's grown so much, and he's found someone that he like really, really, truly cares for, and having to let him go was just like, it just like broke my heart.
That's what the taking off the mask or helmet in the previous episode did for me. So like doing it there without Grogu and just in this mess hall of Imperials was Din admitting it to himself that this creature, that this being means more to him than himself. And then this moment is him admitting that to Grogu. Because while he's shown it, and while, you know, we have no idea of Grogu's level of like comprehension of the world around him, they make it seem like a toddler, but like, I don't know. This was the way to tell the audience. It's like, you know, essentially like in the previous episode, he was like, yeah, I love that little guy. And in this episode, he was like, I love you, little guy. Like he said it to him.
Yeah.
And that's what that meant for me. I wasn't like, you know, we could have kept the reveal. Also, like, as an audience member, we've seen his face before. So the taking off the helmet, like, since we did it in the season finale of the last season, now taking off the helmet is much more about what it means to the rest of the characters in the world than it does
to the audience.
the audience.
I would mostly agree with that. I do think, though, you know, because it's such an albatross like in the room at all times, that like him doing it in front of anybody, like even if they're not connected to him, doing it in front of Migs, and then having this like intense like emotional moment. Like it's not like he just had to take it off for a second, put it back on. Like it's a whole thing, and like they even have this conversation about it. And like had they just had the conversation about like, you know, you traditions or whatever, beliefs until you have to break them or whatever he says there, you know, if they just had that and just kind of had that hanging in the air, and then in that moment he takes it off because he's like, this is the last time I'm going to see my son.
I think that also go ahead.
I don't know.
Oh, I was just going to say, I thought having it happen 2 episodes in a row actually showed me how much character development Din has really had, that like he has really gotten to the point where like he knows at what points he's willing to do it, and it's not just let's just make this happen so that he can say goodbye to Grogu. It's like he is making choices about this more and more because it is becoming less and less important to him to keep that code. It's more important to what promises he's made to the people in his lives and to like keep a connection with another person that he loves. I think that really changed it for me.
There's a huge impact as well in that in the previous episode, it's still taboo and he, Migs has to, clarify, yeah, this didn't happen. I respect that. I respect your culture. Whereas in this one, he does it in front of friends in a room of Mandalorians.
Mandalorians who have no problem taking off their helmet.
Right. So he's basically eating crow on his conversation that he had with Bo-Katan.
Yeah. But I don't think he even thinking about that in the moment. In that moment, they're the only two people in that room.
Exactly. And I really think that's what Ray and I are hitting on. Is that is that character development.
Yeah. It's such a great moment. And it's such a
Can we mourn the loss though of the other Mandalorian for a hot second though? I don't even remember.
Where was he?
Oh, the third. Oh yeah, the third Night Owl.
There was the third Mandalorian, the dude who was not with their party, but then also Bo-Katan's sidekick, the wrestler woman. She got
I think she was still in the group shot at the end, standing.
Okay. Was she? I thought Moff Gideon got her.
He definitely shot her, but she was wearing best.
He shot at Bo-Katan.
Okay, I thought a pot shot in in between or something. I was like, when he hid the blaster, when he hit the blaster, I was like, oh no, he's gonna get a sneak shot in, and also, someone's not making it out alive.
Smart guy, he was aiming for the legs and the torso. Everyone always seems to forget the legs are vulnerable.
Yeah.
But
I don't know why people only shoot Mandalorians in the Beskar. There's plenty of exposed flesh areas.
Well, I think it's also I think it's a lot harder to hit those areas. I mean, I have bad eyesight, and I could probably only hit your chest, especially if you're a moving target. I couldn't hit your arm. I couldn't hit your leg. I can hit you in the chest, though.
That's
they're really good at doing the Wonder Woman, using their armband parts to block places that they don't have.
Mando did that when Gideon came at him with the Darksaber, and he did this wrist block that was dope.
He did it with Ahsoka as well, actually.
Yeah.
But
Ian says it would have been cool to see Boba Fett come back while Luke was still there.
That would just been an awkward conversation. Oh, hey man, I thought you were dead.
Where's your friend Han?
So
it's an accident, man. I didn't see you behind me. I didn't want to kill you.
So there's not too much left in this episode. The only other thing that happens in this episode is a post-credit sequence where
what does this even mean?
So Fennec and Boba Fett roll into Jabba's old palace. Apparently, Bib Fortuna is in charge of the Hutt crime syndicate now.
Who knows why?
Is what I took from that.
Yeah, that's what we're meant to believe, I guess. I don't know if we're jumping the shark on that, and if Bib Fortuna is just chilling in this palace, and everybody's like, "Well, we did this with Jabba. Let's do it with this guy."
I said this to Maui, and I'll say it again. It should have been Max Rebo on that throne. Where's my man Max?
Max.
So Fennec takes out everybody, and then Boba comes in, and Bib's like, "Oh, hey, Boba, what's up, man? We thought you were dead. What's going on? How are you?" And Boba just shoots him right in the McConnell neck pocket thing.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a full-on Mitch McConnell neck pouch.
I believe it's called what do they call it on turkey?
A waddle.
A waddle.
Yeah, a waddle.
And then takes the throne. Takes the Hutt throne. So that is fascinating.
He's the ruler of the crime syndicate now. What the?
And
That
he was
was about to
totally
say
standing.
my exact thought.
I
Secondhand
literally
embarrassment.
was like, I can't believe he's doing that.
I mean, but
He
like,
was there.
there's no rancor. It's dead. It's just a
That's true.
hole. He's got a
That's
jetpack.
right.
He's fine.
That's where they're keeping Max Rebo downstairs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Max Rebo
And-
become feral.
But then with all the announcements we got, we still end up with a surprise, the Book of Boba Fett coming December 2021. Now, here's my question. Is the Book of Boba Fett a yet another show, or is the Book of Boba Fett going to be Mandalorian season 3?
Mandalorian season 3.
I think it's another show.
I think it's Mandalorian season 3 because the naming conventions of the first 2 seasons were chapters. They were chapters with titles. While we didn't get anything that called this the Book of the Mandalorian, like we did have a book naming convention, and then to call it the Book of Boba Fett, and it's going to come out when they announce that Mando season 3 is coming out. I think we just had a 2-season backdoor pilot for a Boba Fett show.
Which was the original intention. Jon Favreau originally pitched a Boba Fett show, and they're like, no, that's not going to work.
I was really hoping that season 3 was going to be renamed the Mandalorians, plural.
With like a Z.
Well, no. I'm not going that far. But I was thinking that would make sense for what's going on with Mando and Bo-Katan and all of that with the saber and what they're going to try to do for Mandalore and yada yada. It would make sense to just then like pluralize it and deal with that larger group of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think the naming convention thing is pretty spot on and pretty interesting, but I'm also wondering, like, does that leave us in limbo for the accompanying shows like Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka? Or, how are they going to schedule that out so that they are still entwined? Because there was suggestion that Mandalorian, along with those 2 shows, would have a shared finale event.
Will culminate in a climactic story event is the exact quote.
I think that at least we can like take a page out of the CW's playbook and just be like, they're gonna live their own lives and have these like sprinkles of things when we get closer to that moment, and then it's gonna be like the last 3 episodes of whatever are gonna mesh. Yeah, like Ahsoka is gonna finish her season finale, and then Rangers of the New Republic season finale is gonna wrap up the questions from the Ahsoka season finale, and then the Mandalorian's gonna tie all of them together.
Also, I'm a paranoid little bug, and I want to, if anyone else watching is the same way as me and being like, this thing, they can't pull off all these shows, it's gonna implode, whatever. They have applied for copyrights and licensing and trademarks for all of those shows for merchandise and stuff. So they are full on production line.
It's way too, Mandalorian was way too big of a success. They're gonna do whatever Filoni and Favreau want.
I know, that's great. I do have one other thing about this episode that I want to just say out loud.
Okay.
About how amazing that scene of the 4 women wrecking shop when they like bust the fuck in through the launch tunnel, whatever it was called, and just like decimate the entire fucking ship's worth of people as if they weren't even breaking a sweat. And it was 4 women, and they were
I sat there at one point, I was like, 1, 2, 3. Oh shit, it's all women. Yes!
That's the real reason why Boba and the Third Night Owl took the back seat. They were like, we're feminists, actually.
We're gonna let the ladies do it because they're phenomenal.
Yes, he did grab his jetpack again. Thank goodness. After Grogu was taken, he went back for his jetpack. It has a remote control. I don't know why he didn't just use that.
Right.
So,
absolutely. I've been saying for a while with all these, I have absolutely. I want more women telling stories. I want more women in stories. I want more stories about women. I also want a like dirty, gritty war movie, but it's all women. I'm, those movies about like the Ranger team that gets lost and they gotta
Inglorious Bastards,
and the whole village to come with them. but it's Gal Gadot, it's Zoe Saldana, it's fucking, it's just a team of women doing it.
Maybe Patty Jenkins is Starfighter or whatever it's going to be.
Rogue Squadron. Yeah. So rewinding a bit. So on the Book of Boba Fett. So here's the thing. I don't actually think it's going to be a series. My thought is that in December 2021, there will be a gritty crime film about the seedy underbelly of Tatooine and Boba Fett kind of taking over the crime syndicate.
That's what I would love.
That's what I think. So I think we'll get Mandalorian season 3, but we'll also get like this bonus movie, like standalone thing with the Book of Boba Fett, kind of showing the new pecking order in the crime syndicate in the Outer Rim.
I think it'll
hunters and
I think it'll have to take a hard pivot so that people don't immediately compare it to season 1 of The Mandalorian. It's thinking like it's just a show about another dude in a helmet. No. And I think tying it to a genre is an effective way to do that.
Yeah.
Turning it into either a movie, like you said, or a limited series as opposed to a lengthy thing. Especially because unlike Mandalorian, which is obviously branching out into expanded universe stuff, I feel as if a Boba Fett story is not necessarily one that would like benefit from, and now there's cameos from Clone Wars characters,
No,
I think it's your chance to like highlight, like have Dengar there, right? Like so, like this is best friend
himself.
In Legends continuity, Boba, after he survived the Sarlacc pit, because that happened in Legends continuity as well, was Dengar's best man at his wedding. Like that's his Mando, bro.
Where's Bosk at? Is he alive?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, right?
Forlom, come on.
Bosk and him hung out in Clone Wars like that early on. They were tight in Clone Wars.
Put them all.
So like show that side of the universe.
Yeah.
Right. Show all the murderers and thieves, and let them kind of get their moment to shine in the universe. I think that would be really cool. But then let him be kind of done with that chapter. If he does run into the Mandalorian or any of those characters again, he's gonna be like, well, I did my thing. I honored our arrangement. Now you're just no one to me. I don't give a shit if you live or die.
Because a lot of people were saying he was a bit too much of a good guy in this series, which is, it's fine that he had his code of honor and he was, trying to attain this mutual respect with another Mandalorian. But I do think we lost some of his villainous or at least anti-hero-ness here.
I disagree. I think there's not enough of that in Boba Fett to begin with. If you look strictly at Empire and Jedi, dude was like, the ruling government called me to do a job, and I was doing my job, and my job got me killed. Like, he wasn't like, I hate Han Solo, and I want to see him dead. He was just like, a guy told me to bring in another guy. I'm just really good at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So in this one, he was like, I'm out about, I want my armor. Like, I want my stuff back, and I've got it. Okay, in order to get the thing that I really want, I'll help you do your thing. And I'm going to hold myself to doing my best job. And once that's done, like you said, if he shows up again, he's like, I owe you nothing. Get out of my house.
Yeah, if they try to like recruit him into whatever kind of Mandalorian thing they're trying to do in the next season, he's going to be like, I got this whole thing I'm doing.
Get out of my house.
Yeah. So that was episode in the end to, I think, a pretty incredible season of television. I would love to know everyone's favorite episode, and if you're watching, those that are watching, thank you for watching, everybody. I would love to know, and put it in the chat, favorite episode and least favorite episode of season 2. I'll start while y'all think about it. So I actually think I've been thinking about it a lot, and this is going to sound really weird, but the previous episode with Miggs, I don't know if it's my favorite episode, but it had my favorite scene in all of season 2. That scene where they're sitting there, that's like a freaking Tarantino film, and you have this villainous dude who, by the way, is the Night King from Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real,
amazing performance. from
Yeah,
both of them.
he's so scary, and I love the fact that he has this like southern drawl. Like it's not really something I've heard before. I love these Outer Rim like Imperials with all their interesting accents.
They're just Hicks. They're Hicks.
Yeah. But like, and then like just seeing like the PTSD on Mig's face, like it was just so interesting, and it made me care about a character that I didn't really give a shit about in season 1.
Right.
And that was seriously one of my favorite scenes. Favorite episode it's probably when there's so many good episodes. Probably Bo-Katan or the Jedi. Was one of those two. It's like right in there. Least favorite would be the frog egg episode.
Which one?
The one with
the first half of it where Grogu's just eating frog eggs. That's probably my least favorite.
I agree with you on that one. My least favorite was the second episode. Largely because we were hurting for interaction between Grogu and Mando in the first episode. And the second episode is not exactly how I wanted them to pick up on that storyline.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite episode, I honestly think, was the first episode of the season. It was
Space Deadwood. Yeah,
basically its own self-contained short film. It had a fantastic 3-arc structure. Jon Favreau flexed on all the directors in that episode. My God, like all the directors did an amazing job for the most part in this season, but Jon Favreau really showed his chops. And it could also have just been the excitement of a new season, but everything felt to a caliber and level of excellence that I didn't see in the first season, even though the first season was amazing, and that I didn't see again for the rest of this season. The scoring was spot on. The storytelling, the 3-act structure was spot on. How it called back to tropes of both the Star Wars lore as well as Western genre was so atmospheric. And Cobb Vanth going and the children at the schools just really, really got to me.
He's seriously just his character on Deadwood, Seth Bullock. He's just Seth Bullock.
That episode, honestly.
And Ian, I agree. To me, that character could have his own spinoff. In fact, that character actually does exist prior to the Mandalorian. If you read Star Wars Aftermath, that's where you get Cobb Vanth's story.
Ian is totally right. Yeah, Cobb is on Tatooine, which puts him in a very precarious spot.
Ooh, what if he?
Back?
I mean, he could be because they're both on Tatooine, right? He's on Mos Pelgo.
Cobb Vanth knew what he was doing with the armor. Like he wasn't like this armor's mine. He was like, I'm using this to help people. It's a tool.
That's
true. I will have another tool. I don't need to fight for this particular thing. While Boba Fett was fighting for his family's legacy.
Yeah. Like intentional or not, intentional or not, he was reason number one Boba didn't have his armor, and that puts a target on him, I think.
Yeah, I think now that Boba's got his armor, he's just like, I've got it. I don't care what happened to it before. I have it now. I'm just gonna sit and shoot people.
I guess my impression of him though is that like vengeance is something pretty core to his character. Having just come off of a Clone Wars marathon, he spends most of that series just trying to kill Mace Windu.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
Wanting to kill Mace Windu, I do too.
No,
that's so rude.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Mace is wonderful.
I get Boba Fett wanting to kill Mace Windu specifically because he killed his father.
Yes.
But like Cobb Vanth didn't steal the armor off of Boba Fett's body. He found it in the desert.
I think I'm also like under the impression that Boba, as much as he seems to have it together, definitely still has some rage, just because that's how they decided to introduce him fighting the stormtroopers this season.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Like I don't know, and that's kind of the beauty of it. It's a character that we injected so much of our own interpretations of because he didn't have a lot going for him in 5 and 6.
Right.
That he is an open book of Boba Fett. So that's pretty cool that we're gonna see.
And
that.
I think it's gonna be really interesting. I think just that post-credit sting shows us, I think, very much who Boba Fett is, right? Like Boba Fett's been like, okay, you know what? I've been the side player for a while, and I'm kind of done with that. Like that Boba is dead. Welcome to new Boba, who is just going to be like, a crime boss. Like, I'm going to take over everything. I have a code.
Sitting right next to them. That last image is so good with her sitting like right on,
and just swigging that. Yeah.
They look so badass, so film noir, so good.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be really fun.
Complete tangent, but you said side character.
Mhm.
A lot of nerve from freaking. I think her name is Koska, the Bo-Katan's friend.
Yeah.
Saying like, I didn't know sidekicks were allowed to talk. She's the fucking sidekick to Bo-Katan.
She's a sidekick.
Like I laughed so much because I was like, yes, of course. What irony!
You don't know your place in this story.
That was Boba's next line, though, and it was an amazing line because it made literally no sense, but contextually, you knew exactly what he meant. He was like, "That's calling the mishmishmeh something something." I mean, like he knew,
it's the pot calling the kettle black.
but it was still like.
It's so funny.
That was like a super meta moment that I really enjoyed.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
what a great.
that was really good. And I like him calling Bo-Katan princess. Like I love all of the tough talk in that scene. Was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so
I definitely think that my least favorite episode was episode 2 was Spider Cave. For several reasons. Like one,
Spiders.
we didn't get anywhere with baby Yoda at the time, and the Mandalorian. I don't like. I'm such a rebel guy that like I don't like seeing the New Republic or the Rebellion in a negative light, and I get that like not everybody's great, but like these guys just sucked. Like he's just flying, like he's not Imperial, so like leave him alone. Like clearly,
yeah. But I think that they were like, I'm pretty sure this is the dude from the prison break. I think they like had a ID. So like, let me see your ID. I didn't like them, but I liked them. Like, I really want just like space cops. I just want to see them doing like routine traffic stops.
I want to see
New Republic
Filoni and other sheet just hanging out. Yeah.
I seriously hope Rangers of the New Republic is just chips in space, and
Right.
it's just.
I think it's just going to be cops. I think it's going to be shot like cops.
I don't want to be shot like cops. I want to be like Chips.
Dash cam footage. It's going to be.
But Chips was a show in the 70s, and they were motorcycle cops, and I want that. Basically want that in space, right? And like Carson and Trapper just doing the thing. You see them go home. They've got like rough family lives back home. Just something like that. I just want that. Just like a Dick Wolf produced Star Wars.
I like Trapper is working on a manuscript. He's like, I really think this is gonna be the one. I got some stories. It's gonna be good.
He's just writing season 1 of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And
to make the prison break episode a little more significant.
They made a big deal out of like your death of a New Republic officer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like that made it. But that was why I didn't like episode 2. And then my personal favorite, again, because I'm such a rebellion like Jedi guy, was the Jedi and bringing Ahsoka into the wider world. It just means now that Star Wars is taking all of its stuff seriously at the same level,
equal weight.
Now sure, Dave Filoni is helming it, but it does at some point. Kathleen Kennedy had to sign off and be like, "Yeah, that's cool. Like she can be a part of this story, in a way that's meaningful."
Mm-hmm.
Because as much as I disagree with it, like animation still doesn't hold the same weight to most people that a live action film does. Animation is still seen as like a children's medium, and those of us who know that that's not true. It's just a style. You can tell really adult stories that are animated.
Just a different type of canvas.
And that
my nephew also really, really loves Clone Wars. Like he's 10.
Right.
And
Clone Wars is
awesome.
awesome.
that was his avenue into the universe.
Not Clone Wars, but we got Kanan Jarrus here.
Oh,
Kanan
R.I.P. Kanan. Kanan went out like a boss. Oh,
He really did. That
Really
was how
did.
you with your breakfast cereal for the end of this was me when he was just like, "Get out of here!" And I was like,
Awesome.
"Ready? No!"
Ready.
I really think that Ahsoka's fight with the magistrate was the best fight in anything. I honestly think it's the best fight since since Disney bought Star Wars. I think it's the best fight since Disney
fair,
bought Star
yeah.
Wars.
They call that Kill Bill Volume 3.
I was like, oh my god, that looks so good. And then they dropped Thrawn, who is my favorite villain.
I think that was just like, find out more on Star Wars Ahsoka.
Right,
Yeah,
and I was
before
like,
we even knew.
sure, great. But I've loved Thrawn and the Chiss. My favorite like EU book is
Heir to the Empire?
no, it is
Star Wars Thrawn?
it is Survivor's Quest. Where Luke and Mara find the remnants of an old Republic like expedition that the Chiss had some hand in its demise. And so like Thrawn is mentioned because they've already, dealt with him in like Heir to the Empire and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they deal with the Chiss government more, and I've really liked that story. It was like one of the first EU stories I read. So when Thrawn came back into canon, I was like,
Yeah, and they did a great job with Thrawn. Ray, what about your favorite and least favorite?
That's hard. There are so many good moments of so many of these episodes. Episode number 2 is definitely the weakest one.
Mm-hmm.
And I had such high hopes for like there being a second half to it, almost like that there could have been so much that we could have had moving from that, but they just kind of were like, yep, done. Okay, next. And so it really didn't, I don't feel like it delivered really anything. And you all said it was in a lot of ways there was just like, and then there's filler to get us to the next episode, but not necessarily like move us along in the story.
And I also want to clarify, I don't think every episode has to move us along in story. Like, I think there could be character-centered episodes or, more atmospheric episodes. I just don't think this one was it. This one just wasn't it. Yeah.
No.
What about favorite?
What?
What about your favorite?
Oh God, that's so hard. I'm trying to look at it. I was looking at the episode list, and like I'm like, oh, well, that one was really.
I mean, yeah, it's a really strong season, right?
It's a
Like
really strong season.
even the Spider episode is good. It's just my least favorite.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I am rating all of these episodes by how much of Grogu we get, which is
I knew this was what we were gonna get from you.
What I'm basing my rating on. And so therefore it is the rating is basically the thing that makes me go most, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually this last episode, because the thing that makes me go more than anything for my entire life is fucking R2-D2. When he showed up in this episode,
like, that's my boy.
Yeah,
I got like all the most amazing Grogu moments of him touching his face and being just the sweetest, most amazing. And then I also got R2-D2.
And then R2 was just like, hey, new cute thing. I'm the old cute thing. They were both like being cute at each other. It was really cute.
We didn't address, they might have met at the Jedi Temple.
That's what my friend posited as well. I was like, either R2-D2 is like, hey, it's my old buddy Grogu, or R2-D2 is like, last time I saw a guy like you, he beat the crap out of me with a stick. I don't know about this.
I have my entire life, because Star Wars has existed my entire life, has been like a main part of my understanding of story my entire life. I have always known exactly what R2D2 is saying every time that he beep beep beeps. Like I have his running commentary in my head as I'm watching it. Someday I should like I'm sure somewhere there's a supercut of like all of the scenes with R2 and I should just like caption them because I know what he's saying every time. And he just literally said, "Okay, cool, you're my new best friend."
Yeah, he's like, "You're my new best friend."
That's what he said. I don't care what anyone else says. That's what happened in that moment. R2D2 was like, "Hey dude, you're my new best friend."
Yes. So we're just about done here, but there are two quick things I want to touch on. One, the implication that Grogu is going off with Luke. And Ray, I don't know if you've watched all this sequel trilogy stuff, but this might be news to you. But Luke's Jedi temple gets destroyed and everybody gets killed by Kylo. So if Grogu doesn't learn quick, it takes a long time to learn and age.
Yeah, we're talking another 15 years before.
Is that the span of time between
15 to 20 years, about that?
Yeah, before Luke would establish the Jedi Temple. Because I read the Rise of Kylo Ren miniseries, which was a prequel to Rise of Skywalker comic book, which it tells the story of Kylo Ren's fall to the dark side, including him destroying the temple and the three Jedi the three of Luke's Jedi trainees who go after him. But just in terms of plotline, like the way Luke looked was very reminiscent of Jedi, which makes me think we're much closer to the end of Jedi than we thought.
We're about 5 years out, I think.
Well, because my whole thing was like, where do we fall between Jedi and the Battle of Jakku? Because Operation Cinder has happened, and the end of Operation Cinder was the Battle of Jakku. But if we still have Imperial remnant holdouts like on planets, I feel like then we can't have gotten to the Battle of Jakku yet. Because like after the Battle of Jakku, like the Empire's gone. Like they're gone. Nobody is there. So I don't know. But if Luke looks like Jedi Luke, I'm thinking Kylo Ren is maybe like 3, 4, 5 years old. So he's got another 10 years before he goes off with Luke.
He does. I mean, he's like 3 seasons past the fashion that he's wearing, and he's like still absolutely dressing exactly like he was in Jedi.
Yeah. I don't know. The other thing that I wanted to mention is Mandalorian going forward. The core relationship has been seemingly brought to an end. That the end of that felt like a series finale. We didn't get the usual concept art, the storyboards. We didn't get any of that. The music felt series finale. It felt like this is the end of this chapter of his life. And so I don't know. Can the show, because and for me, my favorite thing about The Mandalorian is the lone wolf and cub, lone warrior taking care of this baby, moving from town to town, setting right things that are wrong, and then moving on. What is this show without that? Like, it looks like we are now like shifting from the lone wolf and cub story to here's the sequel to Rebels. I don't know if that excites me as much as what I was getting in these first 2 seasons, which was this very intimate story of a broken person kind of like learning how to be whole through learning how to nurture.
I think where we're at right now is the first 2 seasons were about deconstructing this myth of this is the way. We've learned through these 2 seasons, we have no idea what the way is, frankly, and it just sounds like something that you say to break up a bar fight every once in a while. So going forward, I think we have to establish what is the way. What are the principles that matter? Maybe not to the Mandalorians in general, but definitely at least to Din, who at this point is a shell of who he used to be, which includes losing Grogu. I think with the information Thomas brought to the table, we probably know that Grogu is not gone for good, not gone for long, and has to reconvene somewhere to avoid getting Kylo'd up in a few years or however long that might take.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, there are still a lot of unanswered questions that were brought forth by this show that I feel as if will be answered in this show. For example, Dr. Pershing is still hanging out in that freaking Imperial cruiser in the bay, tied up by the end of this episode, probably wondering like, "Oh, that's an X-wing. Where'd that come from? Are they going to come for me?" Like, we still don't know the exact details of his project. We don't know if Moff Gideon was lying about all we needed was his blood. And if that is true, then they are on to the next phase of that. And unless, Gideon and Pershing are now under the care of Luke and or the New Republic, it might still fall on Mando's shoulders to figure out what that means. There is also, of course, the conflict between Bo and Din that we didn't get resolution to in this episode. So there's a lot of stuff. Some of it central to the show's themes, what it means to be a Mandalorian, which might be dramatized through retaking Mandalore from the Imperials. And there's definitely some new materials plot-wise that will probably end up being tied to the other shows about what the Empire's plans are from here. And then lastly, a central piece that we're all wondering about, how will Grogu come back to be with Din?
Because it has to happen. I will not be happy.
And FYI, I do think Giancarlo let it slip that there are 4 seasons planned for The Mandalorian. It is still up in the air if Book of Boba is one of them. I get the feeling that with all the confusion, someone will put forward a statement soon. Yeah. But yeah, we have 4 seasons. So that's pretty solid. We are halfway through.
Mm-hmm. I think I don't think there's confusion. I think Disney had its investor day and said Mandalorian season 3 is coming out Christmas 2021. The finale comes out that week or the next week, and they drop the Book of Boba Fett Christmas 2021.
I think they also. I think the main point of contention, I'm just like pushing back here a little bit, but I think they said we have 10 new shows and they announced 9. I don't know if it was understood that Mando season 3 was number 10. If that would be Book of Boba, I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. I didn't actually do that math or read that. But that's if we're gonna say where is the show going, that's where I think it's going. I truly think that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's whole goal was to get a Boba Fett TV show, and when they couldn't do it just right out the gate with the Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan stuff initially that we all were excited about, they said, okay, we'll do it this way. And now they have their Boba Fett show, and that's what they're going to do.
So you think Din's story is done?
I do. I think Din's story is done, or will be, or the whole script just flips. And Din becomes the character that Boba Fett has to go to for help for whatever reason. And if anything about Mandalore being retaken, rediscovered, or what have you is going to happen in the background. Like, I don't think we're going to get a sequel to Rebels specifically. That story is going to be revealed through the background of other shows.
If Din's story is done here, I think this is a fantastic bookend. Or even if it's if it's a 1 season break, I'm also okay with that. If season 3 is Book of Boba and then season 4 is a substantial time jump between, where Din was in 2 versus 4, I think that's fine too. But yeah, it's pretty freaking exciting where we are these days with Star Wars, and that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Ray, what was your speculation?
Oh, I feel like you can't just have that very important, like the very weighty scene of Din trying to hand off the fucking Darksaber to Bo-Katan and her not taking it, and what the repercussions of that is, what the meaning of that could be. That like, okay, so what does that mean? He's now the next like possible leader of Mandalore. Like, if you're putting that out there, I feel like you kind of have to like address it.
Mhm.
Which is again why I figure season 3 should really be called Mandalorians, and it should be about that whole like what they do with that and who it is that starts leading the people and doing what reclaiming they're trying to do of their planet or their race or whatever. It feels like that has to be where Din's main next thrust is like working with or against or both with Bo-Katan to like do something regarding that whole thing. And him being willing to take off his helmet in front of all of them feels like he's coming to terms with being more that kind of Mandalorian where he's been.
I like all of your speculations. I think are 3 very interesting routes to go.
Open question. Do we think that Boba cares about 1, Mandalore, 2, ousting the Empire? Are those things on his agenda at all?
Nope.
Either of them.
I think he's carving out his own kingdom.
Yeah.
So I think that next season, like I said, I think Book of Boba Fett is going to be like a standalone. And I think we're going to get like a gritty crime drama type of thing. I think next season of The Mandalorian, the look on Din's face did not look like somebody that had evolved. It looked like somebody that just broke again. And like he knew that this is what he had to do, and he put on a strong face for Grogu. But the tears in his eyes to me said, like, I just lost like the one being in the world that I truly cared about. I finally learned how to like love in this beautiful and pure way, and now it's been taken from me. And like in this moment, I realized I don't want to. That's my son, and I don't want to let him go. I did because it's what's best for him. But now I have to figure out who I am without him, and I think that that's going to be an interesting exploration. So I do think it will still be Din's story that we follow on this show. But I think, like you said, Gavin, he will have to learn what is his way.
Mm-hmm.
And his way is likely also going to be the way for the Mandalorian culture, because he is now in possession of the Darksaber. So I think that that's going to be a very interesting exploration in the next season.
A very king who doesn't want to be king.
Yeah.
Sort of deal, a very like almost Wheel of Time in the way that the main character in that, Randall Thor, just like doesn't want to rule. So when they ask him to make decisions about ruling, he's just like, I don't know, let everybody go. And like they open all the prisons, and he's like, well, I mean, sure.
There was a recent Transformers cartoon called Cyberverse where they're back on Cybertron. It's all peachy keen, except everyone keeps asking Optimus to make big decisions. They're like, Optimus, urgent thing. Where do we put the veranda on the new building? And he's just like, like, this is not what I signed up for.
So that's our review, and that's our thoughts on season 2. An excellent season of television, and no matter what happens, I do very much trust Filoni and Favreau and team to give us another just amazing season of television next year. Multiple seasons of television next year. Really excited to see what happens. Can't wait for Space Chips and Ahsoka, this series. It's going to be great. I want to thank Ray for being my co-host throughout for all the episodes of The Mandalorian. Gavin and Jedi Master Thomas for coming in as guests on it. Next season. I would love to have all of us talk about all of them next season if we can make that work. Thank you so much for speaking with me about a series and a world and a fandom that I love very, very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, and
It's been fun.
good night.